the modalities that I use that are non-Buddhist. I use the chakras a lot in meditations. I really, it sort of started because the belly, the hara chakra, is a terribly important one in the Zen world. And so a lot of teachers would teach us to hold our awareness in the hara, build, let the energy build there, etc. And in Theravada Buddhism, the wisdom eye, the third eye in the center of the forehead, called the Dharma eye in the Zen tradition, is very important. That's part of the inner sight some people have in meditation. It also seems to cultivate intuitive knowing. So things like working with koans, that's part of how we're going to resolve the koan is through this strengthening of intuitive knowing. We're building that muscle through working the different koans. So that's where, and then the heart, of course, is terribly important. So once you have, three of those, then you might as well touch into a number of them. I don't do all the chakras, but I do the ones that relate to the Buddhist practices. And in terms of the Diamond approach or Diamond heart, yeah, it was really important work for me. I had a lot of the realizations of Buddhism, but I still had a lot of behavior that was unsophisticated, immature, didn't seem to be too affected by spiritual realization. And the Diamond approach, the Diamond heart, seemed to have that. So I began working with Sandra Maitri, who's also one of the people I interviewed for the series Anatomy of Awakening, which I have. It's a video series interviewing about 8 or 9 other teachers on awakening. But anyway, I worked with Sandra, and she's probably the expert in the spiritual dimensions of the Enneagram. And the Enneagram, as you say, is sort of a personality orientation type of program. But the great thing about the Enneagram is that we can see a lot of our behavior from the Enneagram perspective, and it takes our behavior from I'm such an individual, I'm so unique, everything I do is totally different from everybody else, to realizing that 90% of what I do, all the other types in my Enneatype do. So I'm not so special, I'm not so unique, and actually that helps diffuse some of that personality clinging and such. It's an interesting process. But and then we work personal material. The way that I've introduced this with my students is I talk about the psychological. I'm not trained in psychology, but we did a lot of study and reading in the Diamond Approach, and I completed the Diamond Approach seminary, which is 8 years where you do a lot of this also. And so I bring it in to understand how our psychology is impacted by awakening, and I've done some writing and some talks on that also. But there's ways that we can work all this material and include it. Like one of the simple things I tell folks leaving retreat is watch for your overreactions in life. Any place that you're reacting in a way that you go, wow, that was a little much. Something's getting triggered. There's something deep, an identity that's getting stepped on. So just having that as a kind of a tool really helps us begin to work our outside behavior. And that's really what I was helped by the Diamond approach, is sort of connecting the two in terms of sense of self and being our uniqueness without being our dysfunction. So that's a nice, distinction to have. And then we can be more consistent in terms of being practitioners and particularly teachers if we're not working our personality issues with our students.